You know, we've all heard of the 7 habits of highly effective people. But have you ever stopped to wonder why, for so many of us, they just don't seem to stick? Well, today, we're not actually talking about the habits themselves. We're going deeper. We're digging into the one critical mindset shift you have to make before any of those habits can really, truly change your life. So let's start with a feeling that I bet is pretty familiar to a lot of you out there. Stephen Covey calls it the success paradox, this strange, hollow feeling that can pop up right at the moment you're supposed to be celebrating. I mean, really think about it for a second. You grind for years, you aim for this one big thing, you finally get there, and instead of that rush of pure joy, there's this nagging feeling like, is this it? Is something missing? This exact problem is at the very heart of everything Covey was trying to teach. This is such a classic example, isn't it? You've climbed the ladder, you've hit all your professional goals, maybe even more than you dreamed of. But you look around and you're paying a huge price at home. Your spouse, your kids, they feel distant. And you have to ask yourself, what was this all for? Was it worth it? Or maybe this one feels more familiar. You get fired up about every new trend, every life hack, every quick fix. You dive in full of hope, but just a few weeks later, you're right back where you started, feeling like you failed again. The thing is, as we're about to see, the problem isn't your effort. It's the very ground you're building on. Right, so if it's not about trying harder, then what is it? Well, Covey actually pinpointed the root of the problem to this massive shift in how we even define success, a shift away from what really fundamentally matters. Covey draws this fascinating line in the sand. He says that for the first 150 years or so in America, all the books on success were focused on what he called the character ethic. Things like integrity, humility, courage. It was all about who you are on the inside. But then, after World War I, everything flipped. The focus shifted to the personality ethic, your public image, communication techniques, quick fix strategies. It became less about being good and way more about looking good. And this quote that Covey uses from Ralph Waldo Emerson just nails it, doesn't it? What you are thunders so much that I cannot hear what you say. It perfectly captures the idea that if your character isn't solid, no matter how much smooth talking or clever tactics is going to build the real, lasting trust you need for success. Who you are always, always comes through. So how do we get back to that solid foundation? Well, it all starts with understanding the mental lenses we use to see the world. It starts with something Covey called our paradigms. Covey has this great analogy. He says a paradigm is like a map. And of course, a map of a city isn't the city itself, right? It's just a representation. Our paradigms are our mental maps. They aren't objective reality, they just dictate how we interpret everything that happens to us. And the scary part? Sometimes our maps are just flat out wrong. Okay, so take a quick look at this. What's the very first thing you see? Do you see a young, elegant woman looking away? Or do you see an older, somber woman in profile? Got it? Lock in your answer. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. What if I told you that whatever you saw, you're right. But guess what? The person next to you who saw the complete opposite is also right. How is that even possible? Well, Covey talks about a study that explains this perfectly. Researchers showed one group of students an image of a young woman for about 10 seconds. Then they showed a totally different group an image of an old woman. When both groups were shown this combined image, the one you just saw, they literally argued with each other. They couldn't see the other perspective at all, at least not at first. That tiny bit of preconditioning, their paradigm, had become their reality. Our experiences create our maps, and our maps determine what we see. And this all leads us to the core solution, the big idea, the inside-out approach. And honestly, there is no better way to get it than through Covey's own really powerful personal story. So Covey and his wife were really worried about one of their sons. He was just having a tough time with everything. He was struggling in school, he wasn't doing well in sports, and he had a hard time making friends. His self-esteem was just through the floor. So, of course, being loving parents, they did everything they could think of to help him. They showered him with positive reinforcement, they tried to coach him, they encouraged him. They were basically using all the best tools from that personality ethic toolbox, but nothing was working. In fact, it almost seemed to be making things worse. And then they had this huge aha moment. They suddenly realized that no matter what they said to their son, their actions were sending a totally different message. Their words were all positive and encouraging, but their hidden paradigm, their deep down mental map of their son, was that he was inadequate, that he was broken and needed fixing, and that was the unspoken message he was getting from them, loud and clear. So they did something pretty radical. They decided to stop trying to fix their son, and instead, they started working on themselves. They focused all their energy on changing their own paradigm, their own internal map. They made a commitment to see their son not as a problem to be solved, but as a whole, complete person who was just developing at his own unique pace. And the results? They were absolutely incredible. Once they genuinely changed how they saw him, once their internal map reflected his true worth, their behavior just naturally changed. They stopped trying to manage and protect him, and they just started to trust him. And once he was free from the weight of their judgment, their son just blossomed. He built real self-confidence and ended up excelling in all those areas where he used to struggle. That story just perfectly sums up the entire philosophy that holds up the 7 habits. It's this fundamental principle that you always have to start with the person in the mirror. So here's the crucial takeaway, the whole point of this. It's the inside-out path. It means that if you want to improve your marriage, you have to be a better partner. If you want to have a more positive team at work, you have to be a more positive leader. You have to change yourself first. As Covey famously said, private victories precede public victories. You've got to win the battles inside yourself before you can ever hope to win with other people. This is the bedrock. This is the foundation everything else is built on. And that leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question to think about. If our paradigms literally create our reality, if our mental maps determine the world we experience, what's on your map? And more importantly, is it actually taking you where you truly want to go?